Welcome to History Crossroads, where past meets present, and every story reveals a new path through time.
Picture this. It's 1945, and a woman walks into an FBI office in New Haven, Connecticut. She's nervous. You can tell by the way she's got her coat buttoned up tight, hands shaking just a little. The place smells like stale cigarettes and that sharp scent of ink from all the paperwork. There's this annoying fluorescent light buzzing overhead, and honestly, the whole scene feels like something out of a movie. She walks up to some poor clerk, who's probably just trying to get through his day, leans in, and drops this bombshell. I want to talk. I have names. A lot of names. And just like that, everything changed. Hey everyone, I'm Adam, and you're listening to History Crossroads. Today we're diving into a story that, man, if you pitched this to Hollywood, they'd probably say it was too crazy to believe. We're talking about Elizabeth Bentley, a woman who went from being a quiet college student to running one of the biggest spy rings in American history. And then she walked into the FBI and spilled everything. So let's start at the beginning. Elizabeth Bentley was born in 1908 in New Milford, Connecticut. And before you ask, yes, that's exactly as sleepy and normal as it sounds. Conservative family, smart kid who loved books. The kind of student who actually enjoyed studying languages and literature. She went to Vassar, which, if you don't know, is pretty prestigious. Then got her master's at Columbia. Everything was set up for her to have this nice, respectable academic career. You know, maybe become a professor, write some papers, live a quiet life. But life had other plans. Here's where it gets interesting. While she's studying abroad in Italy, she actually starts off admiring Mussolini. I know. It sounds crazy now, but hear me out. This is the 1930s, and to a young woman looking for purpose in a pretty chaotic world, all that talk about order and national pride, it was appealing. But then she started seeing what fascism actually looked like up close. The brutality, the fear, people disappearing for saying the wrong thing. It completely shattered her worldview. And when that happens to someone, they don't usually just go back to normal. They swing hard in the opposite direction. So she comes back to America and throws herself into communism, not just as a political theory, but as this moral crusade. She genuinely believed she was fighting for equality and justice. She gets involved with the Communist Party and lands a job at this organization called the United States Service and Shipping Corporation, which sounds boring, but was actually a Soviet front group. And that's where she meets Jacob Golos. Now Golos was, well, imagine your grumpy uncle who always knows more than he's letting on, except he's actually a Soviet intelligence officer. He becomes Elizabeth's mentor, her partner in crime, and, yeah, they fall in love. Through him, she gets pulled into the real deal, espionage. We're not talking about some amateur hour operation here. Elizabeth, codename Myrna, was handling serious stuff. She was the go-between for spies, embedded in government agencies, people working at the War Production Board, engineers with access to sensitive information. She'd slip into safe houses, memorize codes, arrange document drops. This quiet girl from Connecticut had become a master spy. But here's the thing about the spy business. It's built on trust, and trust is fragile. In 1943, Golos dies suddenly. Heart attack. Just like that, Elizabeth is left holding the bag for this massive network of over 80 agents. Suddenly, she's not just part of the operation. She is the operation. And her Soviet handlers, they start getting suspicious. Maybe it's because she's American. Maybe it's because she's a woman. Maybe they're just paranoid by nature. But they start changing procedures, watching her more closely, questioning everything she does. The people she thought were her comrades start treating her like a potential threat. Elizabeth begins to crack under the pressure. She's drinking more, isolating herself, and all that ideological fire that got her into this mess, it's starting to flicker out. She's scared they're going to kill her. She's scared she's going to get caught. And deep down, she's starting to realize that the cause she believed in might not believe in her. So on a day in August 1945, she makes a decision that changes everything. She walks into that FBI office and essentially says, "I want to come clean." Can you imagine being the agent who took that call? "Hi, I've been running a Soviet spy ring for years, and I'd like to tell you all about it." I mean, where do you even start with that conversation? But Elizabeth didn't just confess, she opened the floodgates. Over weeks and months, she gave the FBI names, dates, procedures. More than 100 people allegedly involved in Soviet intelligence operations. We're talking about officials in the OSS, the Treasury Department, academics, you name it. Now, the FBI was skeptical at first, and honestly, can you blame them? But when they started checking her information against their own intelligence, including stuff from the super-secret Venona project that was decoding Soviet communications, a lot of what she said checked out. Suddenly, Elizabeth Bentley was everywhere. Congressional hearings, newspaper interviews, magazine covers. The press called her the blonde spy queen, which, let's be honest, sounds like something out of a pulp novel. She even wrote a memoir. But fame is a double-edged sword, especially when you're a former spy. People started questioning everything about her. Was she a hero or a traitor? Was she telling the truth or making stuff up? Was she mentally stable or having some kind of breakdown? Even inside the FBI, opinions were split. One memo I came across described her as a useful but unstable source. J. Edgar Hoover liked the information she provided, but he never fully trusted her. And you know what happened after all the headlines and hearings? The world moved on. Elizabeth faded from public view and lived out her remaining years pretty much alone. When she died in 1963, her obituary was maybe 3 paragraphs long. No fanfare, no tributes, just a brief mention that a former spy had passed away. So what do we make of Elizabeth Bentley? Was she a patriot who came to her senses, or an opportunist who switched sides when it was convenient? Was she brave or selfish? A victim or a villain? Honestly, I think she was probably all of those things. That's what makes her story so fascinating and so human. She wasn't some cartoon character. She was a real person who made real choices, and those choices had real consequences. Think about it. She started as an idealistic young woman who wanted to change the world. She got caught up in something bigger than herself, and when that world turned on her, she had to decide who she really was. The fact that she chose to walk into that FBI office instead of disappearing, or worse, well, that tells us something about her character, doesn't it? In the end, Elizabeth Bentley reminds us that the people behind these big historical events are just that, people. Complicated, flawed, trying to figure out right from wrong in impossible circumstances. She entered the world of espionage, full of conviction and idealism. She left it questioning everything she'd believed. That's all for today's episode of History Crossroads. If this story got you thinking, or if you just want to hear more stories like this, hit that follow button and share the show with someone who loves a good historical mystery. You can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Adam, and I'll see you next time. Keep questioning everything. And remember, the truth is usually stranger than fiction.